Hey guys, Mobile Geezer here, and for everyone who's been anticipating the Pixel 9a, well, it has been announced. It's out in the open. It is up on the Google Store, and this morning, all the big YouTubers and the big sites came out with their videos and articles telling us all about it. I watched a few of them, including MKBHD, and I don't think anybody was told it's not up for sale yet. But then a few hours later, it seems that Google notified everybody, well, you can get notified about it, but it's not really going to be available until next month. So that was a surprise, I think, to just about everybody. But I pulled up a couple of articles from Tom's Guide, and I figured I'd give you the hands on one that I got first thing this morning, 7 hours ago. And then we'll follow up with the notification about it coming out later and more information. So I won't go through every single line, but we'll just go over some of the highlights.
Let's do this.
So as I said, this article is from Tom's Guide. I have a follow-up also. This one came out 7 hours ago. Google Pixel 9a hands-on. This cheap phone just surpassed the iPhone 16e. And this was written by John Velasco. And it still starts at $499, same price as the 8A last year, which I happen to have. So let's drop it into read a view, give it to the ads. A good phone doesn't always need to be a pricey flagship model. That's why I'm always looking for the best cheap phones that prioritize value. And you know what? The Pixel 9a embodies this philosophy. Everyone thought that the iPhone 16e would bring Apple back into the conversation around cheap phones, including myself. But the iPhone 16e surprising $599 cost makes it less of a viable option despite delivering a strong performance. In my iPhone 16e review, in fact, I mentioned how I would gladly pay the extra to get the iPhone 16 instead. Google Pixel 9a hands-on, new design, same awesome price. There's a video out on YouTube from Tom's Guide, so you can go watch that if you want. I mentioned this because Google clearly has a better understanding of what it takes to be a budget phone, even when newcomers like the Nothing Phone 3a and 3a Pro squarely take aim at the Pixel line. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not getting the 9a, because I already have the 3a Pro on pre-order. There's a fresh new look for the Pixel 9a that I'm still on the fence about, but I will say that it could make me forget about the iPhone 16e completely. Here's a list of the specifications, which you can check out if you want. Most of this will be further down in the article. Same price with better options. This is arguably the most alluring thing about the Pixel 9a, unlike the iPhone 16e. Google keeps the price of its budget phone firmly at $499 for the base model with 128 gigabytes of storage, which is the same starting cost as the Pixel 8a, which is true. And I have the Pixel 8a, but I still think it has some features over the Pixel 9a. Not only am I ecstatic that the price remains the same, but it really undercuts the $599 iPhone 16e in the process. Yes, but it does not undercut the Nothing Phone 3a Pro. In addition, Google offers a 256 gigabyte option as well, and the Pixel 9a is available in 4 colors: obsidian, porcelain, peony, that's basically pink, and iris. The latter's a new color option, which I think is just as polarizing as peony. Google's actually not I guess it means not offering pre-orders for the Pixel 9a, but it will be released sometime in April. I don't think that was in the original article, but I think they updated it, with Google providing a more concrete date later on. I cannot stress enough how big a deal the 9a's price is, especially when you factor in all the new upgrades this phone is packing, which you'll read more about below. Now, Tech Odyssey has already put a video out about it, and he was already complaining that the price is too high. You should go check that out. A debatable redesign. If there's one thing in my brief hands-on time with the Pixel 9a that stands out the most, it has to be the new design. Since the Pixel 6a, Google's gone with a distinct design language that consists of a camera bar on the back of the phone. That's now gone, replaced with a more subdued-looking pill-shaped cutout, which is actually flush. While this change makes the Pixel 9a look less like a premium phone, I can't discount how it brings back the flush camera design of years past. Phone makers have seemingly moved past this, opting for bigger, more prominent camera bumps. Aside from that, the Pixel 9a does borrow the flat edge and rounded corner design of the Pixel 9 lineup. So it goes on to tell you how it feels solidly constructed, and it tells you about the peony and iris color options. I'm going to skip down a bit. Larger, brighter screen. Side by side, it's almost hard to tell the size difference between the new phone and the Pixel 8 that came before it, but the Pixel 9a gets a larger 6.3-inch actual display. This P-OLED display has the same rich qualities as before, like wide viewing angles and deep colors, but Google says it's 35% brighter than before with a peak brightness output of 2700 nits. The Pixel 9a display has a 60 to 120 Hz display refresh rate, which makes scrolling look fluid across the home screen. Night sight and astrophotography finally arrived. Aside from the redesign of the camera compartment, Google swaps the 64 megapixel main camera of the previous Pixel 8a for a 48 megapixel main one with the Pixel 9a. There's no need for alarm because this new 48 megapixel main sensor has a wider f1.7 aperture versus the f1.89 of the Pixel 8a. This means that the Pixel 9a should deliver sharper photos, especially under low light conditions. The main camera is paired with a 13 megapixel ultra-wide camera that inherently gives it a leg up over the single lens iPhone 16e by offering wider captures for landscape or group shots. This is one of the biggest reasons why I consider the Pixel 9a to be a more suitable contender for the best camera phone list. And I'm going to skip down some more. For the first time in the series, the Pixel 9a gets full access to night sight now that there's an astrophotography mode that will create a short time lapse, just like with the Pixel 9 series. So that's a nice upgrade. Similarly, the Pixel 9a also gets access to AdMe, which uses AR guidelines and image stitching to add the photographer into the photo. I quickly tried AdMe out with my colleague, and it works like a charm. This complements all the other Google AI camera features found on the Pixel 9a, such as Audio Magic Eraser, Magic Editor, Best Take, and more. But there's also some AI features you won't get because of it only being 8 gigabytes. Flagship caliber Tensor G4 chip. With the Tensor G4 under the hood, I really like how this budget phone has a flagship caliber chipset matching what's available in pricier Pixel 9 models. I'm going to skip ahead again. Powerful Google AI features. Thanks to the Tensor G4 chip, the Pixel 9a gets access to the robust set of AI features found with the rest of the Pixel 9 series. Given how the 9a costs much less, I'm thrilled to know that the Pixel 9a experience isn't a stripped-down version of Google's flagships. All right, I'm not going to go through the rest of this one. I'm going to go to the next article. So here's the second article that I picked up from Tom's Guide, and it has some updated information that wasn't available in the first article. Pixel 9a launched live, everything you need to know. Google has announced its new budget phone, and we've got hands-on impressions. And this one is written by Philip Michaels, last updated 28 minutes ago. So they've been updating this one in an ongoing manner. Let's drop it into reader view, and if you see it bounce while I'm reading, that's because they're updating it. Google just released the Pixel 9a, and if you're looking for a phone that packs in plenty of features for a low price, you're going to want to take notice of this new mid-range model. So I'm not going to go through everything in here because we've done a lot of it in the other article. And of course, it has the same video that you saw in the other article. Google Pixel 9a key features. At a glance, here's what you need to know about the Pixel 9a. Starting price, $499. Screen size, 6.3-inch POLED. Chipset, Tensor G4. Memory storage, 8 gigabytes, 128 or 256. Notice that bounce, that means it's been updated again. And that 8 gigabyte is going to hold it back from some of the Gemini features. Rear camera is 48 megapixel, 13 megapixel. Front camera, 13 megapixel, same as the 8A. Battery size, 5100 milliamp. Software Android 15, 7 years of software and security updates. And I'm going to skip around like I did with the other one, try to give you some new information from this article. First off, this is a bigger display than what you get with the Pixel 8a. That phone had a 6.1-inch panel, while the Pixel 9a features a 6.3-inch screen. Those who appreciate extra screen space will like the extra real estate, which Google managed to add while making the new phone only 2.5 millimeters taller than its predecessor. Okay, I already told you about the 2700 nits, and this was the main reason I pulled this one up. Google confirms Pixel 9a pre-order delay. Earlier today, it was discovered that Google is delaying pre-orders for the Pixel 9a into April, when the company said the phone will go on sale, which they didn't tell anybody initially. Tom's Guide reached out to Google and received this response from a spokesperson. We're checking on a component quality issue affecting a small number of Pixel 9a devices. I'm guessing they're having problems with that 8 gigabytes in their Gemini. Google has not specified which components might be affected or a more specific timeline beyond the month of April. Now here's some new information. Pixel Studio in session. One AI feature that's certainly confirmed for the Pixel 9a is Pixel Studio. This is the generative image creation tool Google introduced last fall. You use text prompts to create an image out of scratch that you can then share with other people. When Pixel Studio debuted in the fall, you couldn't use the feature to create images of people. Google wanted to make sure it could implement that feature in ways that would limit its ability to be abused. But the March Pixel drop is supposed to add that capability, and Pixel 9a owners will be able to take advantage of the upgrade. Last year, we took a look at Pixel Studio compared to the Image Playground feature available through Apple Intelligence. This was back when Pixel Studio couldn't create people, but the comparison will give you a flavor of how Google's image creation tool works. So I'm guessing at this point, Pixel Studio was probably the better of the two. Other missing AI features. It's not been a good day for my favorite Google AI features introduced last fall on the Pixel 9. Pixel screenshots and call notes, to be specific. We've already found out that Pixel screenshots won't be on the list of supported AI features on the Pixel 9a, and apparently that will include call notes too. And I'll bet it's that 8 gigabytes of RAM that is causing them not to be there. If you recall, call notes takes the recordings of your phone conversations and turns them into a transcript with an auto-generated summary. It's a helpful tool for reviewing conversations with service providers, coworkers, and the like for those times you need a quick recap of a conversation. Ars Technica did some digging, and the apparent reason is the 8 gigabytes of RAM on board the Pixel 9a. Gee, what a surprise. That's not enough to run the same version of Gemini on phones with 12 gigabytes of memory like the Pixel 9 lineup. Instead, the Pixel 9a runs Gemini Nano 1.0 XXS, so there's no support for things like call notes and pixel screenshots that require greater processing. Note that other call management features like Call Assist and its Hold for Me, Direct My Call, and Call Screen are available on the Pixel 9a. No pixel screenshots after all. Turns out I was mistaken earlier when I talked about Pixel Screenshot being one of the great Google AI features available on the Pixel 9. It's certainly a great Google AI feature, but it turns out that Screenshot is one of the few Pixel 9 capabilities you won't find on the 9a. It's not exactly clear why Pixel Screenshots didn't make the grid, but I chalked that up to one of those trade-offs you have to make to get a $499 phone instead of a $799 phone. It's a shame that the screenshots is missing in action because, as I said, when I erroneously thought the Pixel 9a would offer this feature, screenshots is great if you do a lot of screen grabs and need to keep track of them. We'll dig into any other features that are missing on the Pixel 9a as we get our hands on the phone. And as you can see, it gives you the 2:33 p.m. update. Get alerts from Google. We know that the Google Store is going to offer the Pixel 9a. We don't know. What we don't know is when. It's already up there and you can get notified, and that's all they've got up there. But you can at least be among the first to find out when the Google 9a is going to go on sale. At the Google Store, you can request that Google notify you of any change in availability. The notification button's on the page where Google outlines all the features in its latest phone. Then it goes on to compare it with the iPhone 16e, but of course, there's tons of videos out there doing that comparison already, so you can go check them out. Then there's further down a 9a versus the Pixel 9 comparison. And I'm not going to go through all the rest of this article, but just wanted to make a video letting you guys know that the Pixel 9a is there, even though you've probably heard already. But I wanted to give you these two articles, giving you a good idea of the specs, and the second article telling you about some of the things that are going to be missing. In all the videos released this morning by the big YouTubers, they were not allowed to show you anything but the hardware. No software features were displayed in any of the videos. So as I said, both articles will be linked in the description. As always, comments are welcome. Thanks for watching. And remember, if you like my content, please share the videos with friends, family, or whomever you think might be interested. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and be sure to click the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos that I upload. And please hit the thumbs up, as it does help with the algorithm.
So there's one other thing.
We all do better when we love each other.